The restaurant was quiet. The laughter was gone. The rich guests, who once felt powerful, now sat in fear. Leon had left, but his words stayed like a heavy shadow over everyone. No one touched their food. No one raised their glasses. Mira stood silently near the center of Skyview Restaurant. Her wet clothes clung to her skin under Leon's warm cloak. She looked at the faces around her, the same faces that laughed when she fell into the lake. Now they looked down, pretending not to see her. For a moment, Mira didn't know what to do. She was a simple hostess. She had no experience managing people or running a restaurant. Leon had trusted her with something she never even dreamed of. But deep inside her heart, something changed. A small voice whispered, "You are not less. You are not weak." Ral and his group slowly stood up from their table. They wanted to leave quietly, but the guards at the door didn't move. One of them spoke softly. Sir Leon said no one leaves. Ral's face turned red with shame and fear. He sat back down, his body tensed. Myra saw this. She realized something. These people, who once acted so strong, were not strong at all. They were afraid of losing their money, afraid of losing their fake respect, afraid of Leon. Mira wiped the water from her face and stood straighter. A woman named Lyra, who worked as a server, came close to Mira. Her voice was soft. "Mira, what do we do now?" Mira looked at Lyra. She had worked beside her for many months, but they had never spoken much. Tonight was different. Mira knew everyone was watching her. "We work," Mira said calmly. Lyra looked surprised. But Mira gave a small, tired smile. "We serve. We finish the night. That's what we do." Lyra nodded slowly. Then another worker stepped forward, and another. The staff of Skyview, who had felt powerless for so long, now stood with Mira. Their eyes showed respect. Mira looked at the guests. Her voice was soft but clear. "Dinner service will continue. Anyone who chooses to leave may do so when Sir Leon's guards allow. Until then, we will do our jobs." Her words carried a quiet strength. The staff moved quickly. Plates were cleaned. Drinks were refilled. Orders were taken. But now the energy had changed. The staff no longer worked in fear. They worked with Mira's silent power behind them. Some guests felt ashamed. Some looked uncomfortable. A few stood up and bowed their heads slightly towards Mira when served. No one dared to speak rudely now. Ral and his friends sat stiffly. They looked at their empty plates, but did not eat. In the kitchen, the new reality spread fast. Workers whispered about Myra, about Leon's arrival, about the rich guests who now sat silent. People who had once looked down on Mira now treated her like a leader. Mira stayed near the entrance of the restaurant. She watched quietly, her mind racing. She remembered Leon's words, "You decide. You deserve better." Now she understood. Respect was not something given. It was something earned by actions, not wealth. Time passed slowly. Finally, after many long minutes, Leon's guards received a message. One of them walked to Mira and nodded. "Sir Leon says the doors can open." Mira took a deep breath and nodded. The guards stepped aside. The guests stood up quickly but quietly. They walked out without speaking, without looking at Mira or the staff. The once powerful crowd now felt like shadows, slipping away silently into the night. Mira watched them leave. Lyra stood beside her and whispered, "You did it." Mira shook her head softly. "No, we did." The night ended. The once loud Skyview restaurant was now calm. Myra stood in the center, the quiet leader of a new beginning, and somewhere, far away, Leon watched from the stars, knowing he had chosen correctly. Next morning, Silverline City was full of whispers. People talked about what happened at Skyview Restaurant. News spread fast. Videos of Mira falling into the lake were deleted from every channel. No one knew how. Some said Leon ordered it. Others believed no one dared to keep them online. In every tall tower and every rich home, people asked one question: who is Mira? At Skyview Restaurant, Mira stood near the large glass windows, looking out at the clouds. She wore a new uniform, simple but neat. Her hair was tied back. Her face looked calm, but inside she felt nervous. Today was the first day she would lead the restaurant. Just like Leon said, she didn't feel like a leader. Then she remembered his words: respect is not bought, it is earned. Mira turned as Lyra and the other staff gathered. All eyes were on her. They were waiting, not because she was their manager, but because they trusted her now. Mira spoke clearly. Today, everything changes. From now on, we work with respect. Not just for the guests, for each other. The staff nodded. Simple words, but they felt powerful. Mira continued. If a guest treats anyone badly, they will be asked to leave. No matter how rich they are. No more fear. People smiled. For the first time, they believed in their work. Hours passed. Guests came, some rich, some famous. But they acted differently now. News of last night's event had taught them a lesson. They greeted the staff politely. They listened when Mira spoke. Leon's silent warning stayed in their minds. In the afternoon, something unexpected happened. Ral entered the restaurant. Mira saw him at the door. He looked different. His usual proud smile was gone. His expensive clothes looked less important now. He stood silently, waiting. Mira walked towards him. I'm here to speak with you, Ral said softly. Why? Mira asked. I owe you an apology. The staff watched silently. The rich man who once laughed at Mira now stood humbly before her. I was wrong, Ral said, looking down. Leon took everything. My family lost control of our business. Our accounts are frozen. My father told me it's my fault. Mira felt strange hearing this. A part of her wanted to feel happy, but she didn't. I pushed you for fun, Ral whispered. And now everything is gone. Mira spoke calmly. You thought hurting people was a joke. Ral nodded, ashamed. He didn't argue. Have nothing now, he said. Mira stayed silent for a moment, then spoke softly. Now you understand. Ral looked up, confused. Mira explained. Now you know how I felt, worthless, invisible, hurt. Ral's eyes showed guilt. Mira continued. You can't buy back respect. But you can start over. Ral's voice shook. How? Learn, work, treat people better. Ral nodded slowly. Without another word, he left. The staff stood quietly behind Mira. No one spoke for a long moment. Lyra finally said, You're stronger than him now. Mira replied, I don't want to be stronger. I just want to be respected. Later that day, Mira received a message. Leon's name showed on the screen. Your lesson started. Silverline watches you now. Lead well. Mira smiled. That night, she stood alone on the platform outside the restaurant. The city lights twinkled like stars below her. She thought about the past few days. About falling in the lake. About Leon arriving. About how everything changed. Mira understood now. Leon didn't just help her. He showed her the truth. Power is not about money. Power is treating people right when no one's watching. And when you do that, people follow. The lesson had begun. Days passed in Silverline City. But the memory of what happened at Skyview Restaurant did not fade. Everyone knew about Mira now. People spoke about the girl who was pushed into the lake and how everything changed after Leon arrived. She was no longer just a worker. She had become a name people respected, but for others the change brought fear. Ral's family business had collapsed. His father, once a powerful trader, now stayed hidden inside his glass tower. Their company's supply lines were blocked. Their factories stopped working. Banks refused their calls. All of this happened silently. No public announcements. No warnings. Everyone knew why. It was Leon's decision. Raul's mistake was simple. He had thought money gave him the right to hurt others. But Leon's actions taught a different lesson. Respect matters more than wealth. Inside Skyview Restaurant, Mira led quietly. She didn't shout orders. She listened to her team. When customers came, she greeted them politely but firmly. If anyone disrespected the staff, they were asked to leave. Slowly, the restaurant became different. It was no longer a place where rich people could treat workers badly. Instead, it became a place where respect was required. One afternoon, Mira was surprised when a large package arrived at the restaurant. It was sent from Leon's company. Inside the box was a new management uniform, simple black with silver trim, and a small data tablet. A message came with it. For Skyview's real owner. Lead with kindness. Mira smiled softly. She never thought her life would change like this. But she knew she didn't reach this place alone. Leon's help was important. Still, it was her actions that kept the change alive. Later that night, Mira sat alone at the end of the restaurant, thinking about everything. Lyra joined her. You're quiet, Lyra said. Mira replied, I'm thinking about Leon. About what he did for you? Mira shook her head slowly. Not just me, he taught everyone. Lyra looked confused. Mira explained, the people who laughed at me now know silence. The people who ignored me now say hello. But respect is not a gift, it's something we must keep teaching. Lyra nodded slowly. She understood. At the same moment, far away in a tall tower, Leon watched the city from his glass window. One of his assistants entered the room. Sir, the restaurant runs smoothly. Mira manages well. Leon gave a small nod. People are talking, the assistant said. They wonder why you gave her that position. Leon spoke calmly. Because she earned it. The assistant said nothing more. Leon looked out at the stars. In his mind, Mira's story was not just about a girl rising from nothing. It was about reminding the city that humanity mattered more than titles and wealth. The next morning, Mira received another surprise. A new rule had been announced across Silver Line City's main restaurants and hotels. The message came from Leon's business empire. Every worker must be treated with respect. Guests who insult, threaten, or harm staff will lose access to all Leon Enterprises services. Mira read the message twice. Leon had expanded her lesson to the entire city. She smiled. It was not just her victory anymore. It was a victory for every worker who felt powerless. When Mira walked into Skyview that day, her staff stood straighter. Guests greeted her kindly. Even old customers who once ignored her now respected her. The restaurant felt like a new world. That night, as Mira looked at the stars from the same window where she once stood invisible, she understood Leon's quiet message. This was only the beginning. The consequences of that one cruel joke had changed Silverline forever. 1 week later, Skyview Restaurant looked different. Not because of new lights or decorations, but because of the people inside. Workers smiled without fear. Guests behaved politely. Rich people who once acted proud now greeted the staff with respect. And at the center of it all stood Mira. She wore the simple black uniform Leon had sent her. A silver line ran along the edge, marking her as the leader. She no longer felt like a worker in the background. Now she felt like someone who mattered. Every morning, Mira arrived before sunrise. She checked the kitchen, spoke with the staff, and made sure everything was perfect. People trusted her, not because of her position, but because of how she treated them with kindness and fairness. But Mira's life was about to change again. One morning, a quiet message arrived. It was simple: Leon is coming. Mira felt her heart beat faster. She hadn't seen him since the night everything changed. Before long, the black sky car landed near the restaurant. Leon stepped out, dressed as always in simple clothes, yet everyone knew his power. His presence made people stand straighter. The staff paused their work as he entered. Leon looked around the restaurant calmly. He saw the polite guests, the happy workers, and Mira standing tall at the center. He gave a small, approving nod. Then, for the first time, he spoke to Mira in front of everyone. "You did well." Mira replied softly, "I tried." "You didn't try," Leon said. "You succeeded." Everyone watched silently as Leon walked closer. "I have something for you," he said. Mira felt nervous. "What is it?" Leon spoke calmly. "A choice." She listened carefully. Leon explained, "I'm opening a new hotel at the edge of Silverline. It will be the biggest in the city. I want you to come there. You'll be a partner, not just a worker. You'll help me build it." Mira froze. A partner? She had never dreamed of such a future. Leon saw her confusion. "Or," he continued, "you can stay here at Skyview. Lead this place as its full manager. I'll give you full control. Either way, your future is your choice." Mira looked at the staff behind her. She saw their faces. People who trusted her. People who followed her. She thought about the past. About the day she was pushed into the lake. About standing in silence while others laughed. Now she had power, but not the kind that came from money. Her power came from respect. After a long pause, Mira spoke. "I'll stay here." Leon asked softly, "Why?" Mira answered, "Because this place needs change, and I want to finish what we started." Leon smiled slightly, the same small smile he showed the night he met her. "Good choice." He handed her a small metal badge. Simple, round, with her name engraved. Mira, General Manager, Skyview. The staff clapped softly. Some smiled. Lyra wiped a tear from her eye. Leon said, "From now, Skyview is yours." Mira held the badge tightly. She felt its weight, not heavy, but full of meaning. Leon turned to leave, but paused. "Remember," he said softly, "lead with kindness. That's real power." And then, without ceremony, Leon walked out. The skycar lifted into the clouds. Mira stood quietly, feeling the moment. She was no longer just a hostess. She was now a leader. Later that night, as she stood near the quiet lake, same one where she was pushed, Mira thought about the journey. From invisible to important. From powerless to strong. She understood something clearly now. One moment can change everything. In the middle of the sky, floating above the clouds, there was a city called Silverline. It was built on great platforms that hovered using advanced machines. Rich people from all over the galaxy lived there. Silverline was beautiful, clean, and full of tall glass towers that touched the clouds. But inside those towers, not everyone was treated kindly. On one of the highest platforms, there was a famous restaurant named Skyview. The restaurant was special because it floated above an artificial lake, and people came there to see the stars reflected on the water at night. Only the rich and powerful could eat there. The staff worked quietly and carefully, always smiling, even when tired. Mira was one of the hostesses at Skyview. She was a young woman with simple dreams. She didn't wear expensive clothes like the guests, but she had a soft and natural beauty that caught attention. Her job was to welcome the guests, guide them to their tables, and make sure they were comfortable. She always smiled, no matter how badly people treated her. Mira dreamed of saving enough credits to start her own small cafe someday. A place where people would feel welcome, no matter who they were. But dreams felt far away tonight. It was a busy evening. Important guests filled the Skyview restaurant. Business leaders, rich traders, and even a few famous faces were there. Soft music played, glasses sparkled. The air smelled of rich spices. People laughed loudly as they talked about money, power, and deals. Mira worked quietly. She welcomed everyone politely, helping guests to their tables. She tried to stay invisible, as she had learned. Many guests did not even look at her when she spoke. To them, she was just another worker in a long line of servants. At one large table sat a group of young rich guests. They were the kind who never worked for anything. Born into money, they thought everything was a game. Their leader was a man named Ral. He was tall, wore silver rings, and smiled in a way that made people uncomfortable. Tonight, Ral was in the mood to entertain his friends. "Watch this," Ral whispered to his friends as Mira passed by their table. Mira felt her foot caught suddenly. Someone had placed a small clear tube in her path. She stumbled. Before she could catch herself, Ral's hand pushed her from behind. She cried out softly as her body flew forward. Splash! Mira landed in the cold lake that surrounded the restaurant. The artificial water felt like ice. Her uniform soaked through instantly. She tried to swim, but her dress made it hard. She struggled to pull herself towards the edge. The entire restaurant burst into laughter. People turned to look. Cameras flashed. Guests laughed, pointing at Mira as she tried to climb out of the water. Ral stood proudly, like he had won a prize. His friends cheered. Some filmed Mira with their smart glasses, sharing the video instantly across the cities. Private channels. No one helped. Mira felt tears mix with the cold water. Her arm shook as she grabbed the stone edge of the restaurant. She pulled herself up slowly. Her hair stuck to her face. Her clothes clung to her body, heavy and cold. Her lips trembled, but she stayed silent. She was used to this kind of treatment. But tonight felt worse. She stood up, dripping wet. Her eyes lowered. She heard more laughter, more cruel jokes. Someone called her the wet waitress. She looked around, but no one cared. No one came forward. Not even her manager. Mira wanted to disappear. But then, a sound changed everything. A low hum filled the air, soft yet powerful. A sleek black sky car, longer and brighter than any other, slowly descended towards the restaurant. People stopped laughing for a moment, looking up. The car landed smoothly beside the platform. Its doors slid open silently. A figure stepped out. It was Leon. Laughter stopped. Everyone knew who he was. And in that moment, the whole restaurant froze. Leon stepped forward slowly. His black boots touched the smooth stone floor of the Skyview restaurant. His steps were calm, steady, and silent. Everyone watched him, but no one spoke. The air felt heavy now, not with laughter, but with fear. Leon was not like the other rich people. He was young, but powerful. He had built his empire from nothing. People called him the Quiet Storm. He never shouted, never showed anger, but his words could end careers and destroy businesses. Everyone respected him. Many feared him. Mira stood still, her body shaking from cold, her clothes dripping water onto the floor. She did not lift her head. She thought Leon had not seen her, but he had. Leon's sharp eyes scanned the crowd. He saw the group at the large table. He saw Ral, who now looked nervous. Leon noticed the cameras, the frozen smiles, the silent fear. Then, Leon's voice came. Calm, clear, but heavy like a command. Who pushed her? No one answered. The restaurant was silent, except for the sound of Myra's wet dress dripping onto the floor. Leon stepped closer. His face did not show anger. His voice was not loud. But every word felt heavy. "I asked," he said again. "Who pushed her?" Ral swallowed hard. His friends looked at him, but no one spoke. The crowd, who had laughed moments before, now stood frozen like statues. Leon's guards appeared behind him. They were tall and wore black suits, faces hidden. They blocked the exits of the restaurant, standing silently like shadows. Leon turned his eyes towards Mira. "Come here." Mira hesitated. Her body shook. She was too scared to move. But Leon stepped closer and repeated softly, "Come here." Slowly, Mira took small steps towards him. Her shoes made soft, wet sounds on the floor. Her head was still low. She did not want to meet his eyes. She thought she was in trouble, but Leon did something unexpected. He removed his expensive black cloak and placed it gently over Myra's shoulders. The cloak was warm, heavy, Safe. Mira looked up at Leon, confused. No one had ever treated her kindly before. Not someone like him. Leon then turned back to the crowd. You laugh at someone who works to serve you, he said softly. You treat her as less. Is this the standard in Silverline now? No one answered. Ral's face was pale. His hands trembled under the table. His friends looked down, too afraid to meet Leon's eyes. Leon spoke again. In my world, respect is not bought. It is earned. By actions. His words hung in the air. No music played. No one sipped their drinks. Everyone just listened. Leon looked around the restaurant. He knew many of these people. Business owners, politicians, investors. People who thought money made them important. But tonight, their money could not save them. Without turning his head, Leon said, "Close the doors." His guards locked the restaurant's doors silently. No one leaves, Leon said calmly. Until. This is corrected. People began whispering, nervous. What did he mean? What correction? Leon looked at Ral. You pushed her. Ral's mouth opened, but no words came. You thought it was a joke. Ral nodded slowly, then shook his head, unable to speak clearly. Leon's voice did not change. He simply said, Your business depends on my company's supply chain. Ral's face turned white. Leon continued, Tonight you lose that. Your family's debt will no longer be held by us. Tomorrow you will see the price of your joke. People gasped. Leon looked at the others. And you laughed with him. A few people dropped their glasses. Someone whispered, No. Leon said softly, Memberships revoked. Accounts closed. Access denied. Mira, standing behind Leon now, watched in shock. She realized something. This man was not saving her because he pitied her. He was teaching them. Leon finally said, Remember this night. The silence was complete now. Mira, once ignored, now stood at the center of the most powerful restaurant in Silverline. Beside Leon, and the world that once laughed at her, could only watch in fear. Leon stood quietly in the middle of the restaurant. His presence alone was more powerful than loud words or angry threats. Everyone in Skyview could feel it. The same people who laughed only minutes ago now watched him carefully, afraid to even breathe too loudly. Mira stood behind him, shivering in his cloak. Her wet hair stuck to her face. She was confused. She did not understand why Leon, a famous millionaire, was standing up for someone like her. No rich person had ever cared before. Leon looked calm, but his mind was sharp. He knew people like Ral well, people born into wealth who believed others were beneath them. Leon had been poor once. He never forgot. He watched Ral and his friends carefully. His voice came again, soft but direct. You pushed a worker into the water for your entertainment. Ral opened his mouth, trying to speak. It was a joke. Just a joke. Leon did not smile. A joke? He asked. Do you know what a joke is, Ral? A joke does not destroy someone's dignity. The words hit harder than a slap. Ral looked down at the table. Silent. Leon turned to the other guests. And you? He asked softly. You watched. You laughed. That makes you worse. No one replied. Fear sat heavy on their shoulders. Leon gave a small wave to his guards. They moved silently to the doors. He had not forgotten anyone. Even those who only watched were now marked in his mind. Mira watched all of this in silence. Her hands gripped the cloak tightly. For years she had accepted her place quietly. She worked hard, smiled, and ignored insults. But tonight, someone showed her that respect was not a luxury. It was her right. Leon then spoke to the manager of the restaurant, who stood shaking near the kitchen entrance. You saw her fall. You did nothing. The manager, a short man named Philo, looked terrified. His voice trembled. I didn't know what to do, sir. Leon's eyes showed no pity. You're the manager. Your job is to protect your staff. Philo lowered his head. Everyone knew what this meant. Leon spoke simply. "You're fired." The guards walked towards Philo, who quickly moved aside. Understanding that his time at Skyview was over, Leon turned to Myra. "What's your name?" She hesitated, then said softly, "Mira." Leon nodded once. "Do you want to stay here or leave?" Myra looked confused. She didn't understand the question. Leon explained patiently, "You can leave this place tonight. I'll arrange work somewhere else for you. Or you can stay, and things will change. You will decide." Mira looked around. The same people who laughed at her now avoided her eyes. She remembered the tears, the pain. She thought of her dream her small cafe. But deep inside, a new feeling appeared. Strength. "I'll stay," Mira said softly but firmly. Leon's lips curved into a small smile. The first smile he had shown all evening. Good. He turned back to the silent crowd. "From tonight, Mira runs Skyview." Gasps filled the air. People could not believe what they heard. A hostess? Running one of Silver Line's most famous restaurants? Leon ignored their shock. She will be trained. Fully paid. And anyone who disrespects her, or any staff, will not enter this place again. Leon's guards understood. Their faces remained expressionless as Mira stood frozen. Her heart raced. She had never expected such words. Leon turned back to her and said quietly, "You deserve better." With that, Leon walked towards the exit. Before leaving, he said one last thing to the guests. "Tonight, you saw what respect looks like." Then, silently, he left. Mira watched him disappear into the night sky. For the first time in her life, she felt powerful, not because of money, but because someone reminded her that she mattered.